For my birthday, my closest friend Maya presented me with a Polaroid camera. My immediate plan was to take it, along with a few packs of film, to the local zoo. I imagined getting some wonderful shots of the playful monkeys, the formidable wild boars, and the lumbering bears. In the life I'd lived before, I had accepted that same camera from her with genuine happiness, rushing home to capture moments with my entire family. That joy, however, had been painfully short-lived. Just a week after I took those family photos, my mother was involved in a terrible car accident and succumbed to her injuries. In the crushing grief that followed, my father suffered a sudden stroke. He survived after a frantic rush to the hospital, but he was left paralyzed on one side of his body, a shadow of the man he once was. As if that wasn't enough, my business, a company I had poured my heart into, encountered a series of devastating problems and was teetering on the edge of bankruptcy. The stress was unbearable. Within a single month, my hair had turned a stark white. My face, once youthful, became a canvas of deep wrinkles and angry red scars. My body swelled with what everyone called stress weight. It was during this downward spiral that my boyfriend, Leo, decided to end our relationship. He told me I was bad luck, that my own misfortune had somehow cursed my family and brought about their ruin. Devastated, I turned to Maya, confiding all my fears and sorrows in her. But my world shattered further when I stumbled upon the fact that she had mysteriously come into millions of dollars in assets. At the same time, her parents, who had been confined to a hospital for years with chronic illnesses, had made a miraculous recovery, as if they had never been sick a day in their lives. The combined weight of these emotional blows was too much to bear. My last psychological defense crumbled. Dazed and disoriented, I wandered into the street and was struck by a speeding car. I died on the way to the hospital. It was only after my death, in some strange, ethereal space, that the truth became clear. The source of all my suffering was the Polaroid camera Maya had given me. I also learned that she and Leo had been secretly communicating for a long time, plotting my downfall. When I opened my eyes again, the world snapped back into focus. I was right back in that moment, on that day, when Maya first gave me the camera. "Happy birthday, Chloe," she said, her smile wide as she held out a pastel pink Polaroid. "Look what I got for you." My hands were still pressed together from making a silent birthday wish when the familiar shape of the camera appeared before me, confirming the impossible. I had been reborn. The last time this happened, I had taken the camera with a joyful heart, completely oblivious to the fact that it was a cursed object designed to drag me into an abyss of despair. This time, seeing my hesitation, a flicker of unease crossed Maya's face. Her voice became cautious. "Chloe, don't you like the gift I picked out for you?" Hearing her question, Leo quickly intervened, taking the camera from her hand and nudging me with his shoulder. "She's our Chloe's best friend," he said with a forced laugh. "How could she not like it, right?" I looked from his face to hers, a cold sneer forming on my lips before I carefully schooled my expression back to neutrality. I reached out and took the camera from his hand. "Of course I like it. I like anything you give me, Maya," I said, my voice smooth. "But—" I let the word hang in the air, deliberately pausing. I could see them both tense up, a shared fear in their eyes that I might refuse the gift. "Your parents are both in the hospital right now," I continued, my tone now filled with faux concern. "I know money must be tight for you. Maybe you should return this and use the money for them instead." I gently pushed the camera back towards Maya, but she recoiled as if I had offered her a venomous snake. "Chloe, you've helped me out so much in the past. This is nothing," she insisted, her words rushing out. "It's just a small gift. Please, you have to take it." She then fumbled in her bag and pulled out a stack of photo paper, blinking earnestly. "See, I even bought all this film for you, too. You can start using it right away." Leo chimed in, eager to seal the deal. "Maya picked that out especially for you, Chloe. It's even your favorite color, pink. Don't be polite, just take it." I gave a slow nod, my mind racing. I picked up the camera again, this time aiming the lens directly at Leo. "Okay then. I'll take a picture of you first, just to test it out." The moment those words left my mouth, all the color drained from Leo's face. He threw his hands up to cover his face, his voice rising in alarm. No, Chloe, it's Maya's gift to you. You should save the first picture for yourself. Maya quickly grabbed my sleeve, her expression shifting to one of feigned annoyance. This is my gift to you. Why would you take his picture first? The first shot has to be of you and your parents, or I'll be upset. Watching their perfectly synchronized performance, a faint, cold smile touched my lips. I lowered the camera and put it away in its box. Okay. I'll send you the pictures once I take them at home. It had been the same script in my previous life. I had believed their act, gone home, and taken a beautiful photograph of my parents. Afterwards, I had excitedly snapped selfies and sent them to Maya, sealing my own fate. Chloe, time to pay and leave. Aren't you full yet? Leo's voice startled me from my reverie. I realized I had been unconsciously shoveling cake into my mouth, my mind lost in the traumatic memories. They were both looking at me with curiosity. If you're not full, should we have the kitchen make you a bowl of longevity noodles? I managed an awkward smile and quickly wiped my mouth with a napkin. I'm full. After we settled the bill, Maya made a flimsy excuse about needing to get home early. Leo looked at me, a hint of theatrical disappointment in his eyes. How about I drop you off at your office first, then I can take your best friend home? He deliberately emphasized the words best friend, knowing that in the past I would have always agreed to let him take Maya home first out of consideration. I nodded agreeably. You can just go home after you drop Maya off. I'm going to the office to handle some business. I already called for a car while we were eating. Hearing this, Leo looked genuinely annoyed. He pulled my hand and leaned in close. All right, I was really hoping to have dinner with just you and me tonight. Although his words sounded reluctant, I clearly caught the flicker of relief and glee in his eyes. In a couple of days, when I'm not so busy, we can go on a proper date, I promised, my voice sweet. Just as I finished speaking, my driver pulled up to the curb. I got into the car. Maya, I'm heading off then. Don't be shy, let Leo take you home. The instant I rolled up the window, I saw Maya's hand slip intimately into Leo's. A few minutes later, the driver handed me a small bag. Miss, I bought what you asked for. Inside was a brand new Polaroid camera, still in its packaging, identical to the one Maya had given me. Looking at the two cameras side by side on the seat next to me, I smiled. To the zoo, please, I told the driver. I might as well take a stroll and use the camera my best friend was so kind to give me. At the zoo, my first stop was the monkey enclosure. I excitedly snapped several photos of them swinging and chattering. From there, I moved on to the enclosures for the large bears and the wild boars, capturing their images as well. Just as I was thinking about leaving, a message from Maya buzzed on my phone. Chloe, have you used the camera yet? Did you take any pictures? Yes, I did, I typed back. The results are pretty good. She quickly sent a voice message in reply. Her voice was bright and cheerful. As long as you like it, you can take pictures of your aunt and uncle normally too. At the very end of the voice message, I could distinctly hear the sound of a man's heavy breathing in the background. It seemed those two couldn't wait to start their celebration. I held the 3 developed photos in my hand. The animals on them looked eerily lifelike, almost as if they could move at any second. All right, let's head back to the company, I said to the driver. Even though I had been given a second chance, the scars from my past life ran deep. The first thing I did was schedule comprehensive physicals for both of my parents. Then, I hired a full-time nanny and housekeeper for them. My mother was a little resistant at first. Why waste money on this? Are you trying to hint that your old mom's legs aren't as nimble as they used to be? No, nothing like that, I said, placating her. I just want you both to be able to relax and take it easy. After reassuring my parents, I plunged myself into work, meticulously checking every active contract, searching for potential problems and loopholes. This relentless work kept me up all night again, but this time it was by choice. Fortunately, my efforts were rewarded. I found no flaws in any of the contracts. A few days later, the hospital sent a message confirming that both of my parents were in perfect health. Looking at their clean health reports, the knot of anxiety that had been lodged in my heart finally began to ease. I could finally get a proper night's sleep. However, When I woke up the next morning, I found dozens of missed calls on my phone. Some were from Maya and some were from Leo. They had also bombarded me with messages. Maya's text said her father had suddenly fallen ill and was being rushed into emergency surgery, and she desperately needed money. Leo's messages simply stated that Maya was trying to reach me and that I should call her back as soon as possible. I took my time, then unhurriedly called Maya back. The moment the call connected, her frantic, crying voice filled my ear. "Chloe, where are you? I couldn't reach you all night. I was so worried." I grunted softly. I just woke up. What's wrong? Why are you crying? She took a shaky breath. Can you come to the hospital now? I really need you here. Normally, I would have dropped everything and rushed to her side without a second thought. But now, the corners of my mouth curled into a slight, unnoticeable smile. Okay, I said calmly. I'll come over as soon as I finish up some things at work. This finishing up took me until the evening. By the time I finally arrived at the hospital, Maya's father was already out of surgery. Seeing me, she scoffed sarcastically. Well, look who it is. Miss Chloe, you're certainly dedicated to your work, aren't you? I rushed over and gave her a hug, my voice filled with apology. I'm so sorry, Maya. There was a sudden problem with a major contract at my company, so I couldn't get away in time. Hearing the word contract, her eyes flickered with a sudden sharp interest and her tone became urgent. Are you serious? She quickly realized her mistake and tried to backtrack. So, what's the situation now? Has the problem been resolved? I shook my head, affecting a helpless expression. Not yet. Oh, and how is your uncle? How is his illness? Maya's brow furrowed tightly. The doctor said there's no major problem for now, but he needs to stay in the hospital for a while for observation, but, she added, her eyes sparkling with a strange light. I have a feeling my parents will be discharged very soon. There was a hint of resentment in her gaze as she looked at me. I sighed dramatically. That's for the best. But I'm afraid things won't go as you're planning. Over the next week, I buried myself in my work and consistently refused to meet with Leo. He was naturally thrilled to have the free time and, as I expected, spent it secretly meeting with Maya. Then, one day, Maya posted something on her social media that she deleted almost immediately, but not before I saw it. The post read, "Help, my family member grew fur all over their body. What should I do?" It was accompanied by a blurry photo of her parents. I smiled to myself. It was time to visit the hospital again. When I arrived at the hospital, it was exactly 10 in the morning, and the hallways were just starting to get busy. Since I had called Maya beforehand, she was waiting for me at the main entrance. Hey, Chloe, she said, her eyes scanning my empty hands with some displeasure. You came empty-handed this time? I offered an apologetic smile. I bought something, but I completely forgot to grab it from the office on my way out. I'll bring it over in a couple of days. Her expression softened slightly at my promise. I followed her into the hospital room and was struck by the drastic changes in the two people lying in the beds. Maya's father was shockingly thin, almost skeletal, like a monkey. He was constantly scratching and fidgeting, and the hair on his body had taken on a yellowish tint, something you could only notice if you looked closely. Maya's mother, on the other hand, was an even stranger sight. Her nostrils were inexplicably enlarged, and her body was covered in coarse, stiff, blackish-brown hair. Seeing me staring at them, Maya seemed a little embarrassed. The doctors can't figure it out. We've done all the tests, and they can't find anything wrong. My dad is just skin and bones, but my mom has gotten really chubby. The next second, a thought seemed to strike her. She looked at me with an anxious expression. Have your aunt and uncle experienced any changes in their health recently? Meeting her eager, hopeful gaze, I nodded slowly. They've been complaining of headaches a lot, and my dad has lost some weight. Hearing this, a wave of visible relief washed over her. Well, at least it's nothing serious, she said, before turning to give her parents some water. I watched her back. Although her face wasn't fleshy, her body had become noticeably sturdier, almost bulky. The phrase broad-shouldered and strong came to mind, and I couldn't help but let out a small chuckle. Maya looked over at me quizzically, unconsciously touching her own cheek. What's wrong? I quickly shook my head. Nothing. I just think your skin is looking a lot better now. She beamed at my compliment, then stared at my face for a long moment before pouting. How come your face hasn't changed at all? Oh, right, Chloe, she said, her tone shifting. I asked you to take pictures of your aunt and uncle last time. Where are the pictures? Let me see them. I awkwardly pulled the 3 developed photos from my bag. I haven't had a chance to tell you yet. I had something urgent come up last time and didn't end up going home. A few days ago, I went to the zoo and took these 3 pictures. Here, take a look. She snatched the photos from my hand. When she saw the images of the animals, her face contorted with fury. Her entire body began to tremble uncontrollably. Are you crazy? The camera I gave you. Why would you take pictures of these animals? Go home right now, take a family picture, and send it to me. Her emotions were completely out of control, her voice shrill. Maya, what's wrong with you? I asked, my voice calm and questioning. Can I only take pictures of myself and my parents with the camera you gave me? Realizing she had misspoken, Maya panicked. She rushed to defend herself. No, that's not what I meant. I stared straight at her, my gaze steady and intense, as if I could see right through her. She licked her dry lips, and a thin layer of cold sweat appeared on her forehead from the tension. Her body was still trembling. Finally, she managed to apologize. Chloe, you can take pictures of anything you want with the gift I gave you, but I really want to see a family picture of your whole family. Also, that photo paper is expensive. I know you have the money to buy more, but I just hope the paper I gave you only has pictures of you and your parents on it. Finally, I uttered a single word. Good. She visibly relaxed, the tension draining from her shoulders. Chloe, I was just too anxious earlier, she said, examining my face. I didn't scare you, did I? No, it's fine, I said, shaking my head. After staying at the hospital for a little while longer, I left and went straight home. I picked up the second Polaroid camera, the one I had my driver buy for me, and took several pictures of my parents and myself, including a few group photos. To ensure Maya completely let her guard down, I even recorded a video of the entire process. Then, I sent everything, the photos and the video, directly to her. The reply came almost instantly. Okay, Chloe, I knew you were the best to me. I hope your aunt and uncle and you are all doing well. Looking at the text message, I couldn't help but laugh out loud. I turned around and immediately booked 2 international plane tickets for my parents. I have some important things to handle at work for the next couple of weeks, I told them. Why don't you 2 go travel abroad for a bit? I'll have a friend pick you up at the airport when you arrive. At first, they were hesitant. Chloe, did something happen to you recently? You seem a little strange, my mother said, her eyes full of concern. I wanted to explain everything, but I didn't know where to possibly begin. So I just decided to gloss over it. I just want you both to relax and enjoy the scenery, I insisted. Since I had already said it and bought the tickets, my parents reluctantly agreed. The next day, I dropped them off at the airport, a profound sense of relief washing over me as their plane took off. A few days later, a message from Leo popped up on my phone. Chloe, we haven't seen each other in a while. Don't you miss me? I suppressed a wave of nausea and replied, busy with work. Since he had started his affair with Maya, Leo hadn't actively sought me out even once, unless he needed money. Now that he was reaching out, I knew it could only be for one of 2 reasons. Either he needed cash, or Maya was no longer interesting him. That second possibility made a certain kind of sense. My gaze lingered on the photo of the bear I had taken. Maya's back at the hospital already bore a strong resemblance to it. I couldn't begin to imagine what she would look like in a few more days. After rejecting Leo's advance, I also casually hinted to him that my company was on the verge of collapse, so I had no time for romance. To make them completely believe my story, I even had my company's public relations department spread a few carefully crafted rumors about our financial instability. Sure enough, after hearing the news, Leo's messages to me became considerably more cheerful. A few more days passed, and then I received a sudden, frantic call from Maya. She was screaming hysterically on the other end of the line. Chloe, your uncle! How is your uncle doing recently? I feigned confusion. He's not home. I haven't seen him in days. What's wrong? Did something happen? As soon as I asked, she burst into heart-wrenching sobs. Chloe, my dad, he died. Can you please come to the hospital? Hearing the news, my heart felt a strange pang. Although I knew this day would come, I still found it somewhat unbelievable that it had actually happened. Okay, I said quietly. Before leaving, I applied a thick layer of pale foundation and deliberately drew dark circles under my eyes to create a weak and frail impression. Looking at my haggard reflection in the mirror, I was very satisfied. By the time I arrived at the hospital, it was already late. Daisy tried to get up when she saw me, but she grunted with effort and then stopped, a hint of embarrassment on her face. Chloe, you're finally here, she said, and fresh tears immediately began to fall. Seeing her bloated, swollen figure, I felt an indescribable sense of deep satisfaction. I cautiously approached her, and a foul, fishy smell wafted towards me. The source of the odor was coming from the woman lying on the cot next to her father's empty bed. Maya's mom had gained a significant amount of weight, and her mouth was constantly hanging half open, the stench emanating from within. Seeing me instinctively cover my nose, Maya's expression turned ugly. Chloe, where did your aunt and uncle go? She asked, her voice sharp. To play my part, I forced back fake tears. I haven't been able to reach them all day. I don't know where they went. If I still can't get in touch with them by tomorrow, I'm going to call the police. Hearing me say that, Maya's suspicion seemed to weaken considerably. I took the opportunity to turn my head and look at the old man who had once lain on the bed. In just a few short days, he had withered away to nothing but skin and bones. Maya stood beside me, sighing mournfully. My dad could eat and drink just fine, but his weight just kept dropping. The doctor said all his indicators were normal. They couldn't even find the cause of his illness. After saying a few more words, she started crying sadly again. I patted her broad shoulder. My condolences, I said. Let me know if you need anything at all. That afternoon, Maya had her father cremated. Then she began arranging the funeral. Leo naturally came to help. However, the moment he saw Maya, the look of utter disgust in his eyes was almost impossible to hide. But since they were partners in this scheme, he had to force himself to stomach his revulsion and help her with the arrangements. In the evening, the funeral tent was set up. Maya wasn't wearing traditional funeral attire because, quite simply, nothing fit her anymore. She was now so overweight that she would pant heavily after taking just a couple of steps, and she had developed a voracious appetite for meat. When we were eating earlier, her ravenous consumption had genuinely startled me. Leo couldn't help but complain to her. Look how big you've gotten and you're still eating like that? Maya looked wronged. I'm hungry if I don't eat. I wish I didn't have to. I watched them, a secret smile playing on my lips. Eat up, Maya, I encouraged her. I think you look good with a little extra weight. And your face doesn't have any more clogged pores. Of course it didn't. It was all grease now. The fat had filled out her face, and with the increased oil production, the dirt on her skin had naturally been washed away. Maya nodded, then secretly glanced at Leo before she couldn't resist putting another large piece of meat into her mouth. Her mother was exactly the same. Neither of them seemed particularly sad at this funeral. It felt less like a memorial for her father and more like a live eating show starring her and her mother. I turned around and my gaze met the portrait of her deceased father in front of the coffin. A sudden chill ran down my spine, and I quickly found an excuse to leave. There's a problem at the company, I said. I need to go back and handle it now. Leo, you stay here. If anything happens with Maya, you'll be here to help. After saying that, I left without a moment's hesitation, leaving the two of them looking at each other in the dim light of the funeral tent. I didn't go back to the company. I went home. I lay in bed for a short while and quickly fell asleep. I had been under so much stress lately, constantly afraid that one wrong step would plunge me back into the hell of my previous life. Fortunately, everything was proceeding according to my plan. I didn't expect Tom's call to come less than half an hour after I'd fallen asleep. Chloe, you need to come quickly. Maya's mom has gone crazy. He then sent me a video, and the content was truly something else. It showed Maya's mom on the ground, voraciously gnawing on a dead sparrow. Everyone around was scared stiff, scattering and running away in terror. But my eyes were drawn to a figure in the corner of the frame. It was Maya, watching her mother, swallowing excitedly. By the time I arrived, the police were already there. They had quickly secured the scene. Maya's mom was curled up in a ball on the ground, completely unresponsive to anyone who spoke to her. She wouldn't let anyone touch her, not even Maya. Her mouth was still stained with a few sparrow feathers, and her mouth and hands were covered in blood. She was also mumbling incomprehensible things. Logically, she should have been sent to a hospital, but the police were there because someone had made a complaint. The person who called the police, a middle-aged man, shakily extended his arm. This woman, she also ate my little parrot. His voice was a mixture of fear and rage. You have to pay me. I raised that parrot for 8 years. 8 years. It was like a member of my family, and she ate it right in front of my eyes. The police officer, trying to mediate the situation, suggested that Maya should pay the man for his loss. She looked at me, her eyes wide and pleading. Chloe, with my parents in the hospital all this time, I have no money right now. Can you lend me some? I regretfully spread my hands. Something major happened at the company, and all of my liquid funds are completely tied up. Right now, I only have a little over $100 on me. I can't even afford to contribute to the funeral expenses. In our past, since Maya's parents had gotten sick, I had arranged for over $2 million to be given to her. I had thought that since she was my friend, I should help her as much as I could. In the early stages of her parents' hospitalization, I had even sacrificed my own work time to stay at the hospital with her, helping to care for the elderly couple. But the thing that disheartened me the most was realizing that I had nurtured 3 ungrateful vipers. My generosity was only meant to help a friend in her time of need, but in her eyes, it had become a way for me to show off how rich I was. As my words fell, the parrot owner became even more agitated. You're not going to pay me, are you? Officer, are you going to do something about this? Her mom ate my family member, and she says she has no money to pay. I quickly spoke in a soft voice, trying to calm him down. Then, I turned my gaze to Leo, who was standing nearby. Perhaps my stare was too intense because he looked at me uneasily. Leo, do you have any money? Maya needs money right now. We should help her. Maya seemed to suddenly remember something and eagerly grabbed Leo's arm. Lend me some. I'll pay you back. Leo initially refused, but Maya's eyes turned fierce. She lowered her voice and threatened him. If you don't, I'll tell Chloe everything about us. No, Leo hissed back. Chloe isn't doing well right now either. If you tell her, all our efforts will have been wasted. This bizarre farce finally ended with Maya paying the man $50,000. The crowd dispersed, and when we looked again, Maya's mom was putting bugs from the ground into her mouth. Maya stomped her foot in anger. Mom, what are you doing? But at this point, her mother had completely lost her mind and didn't recognize her own daughter. She just stared at Maya, drooling. Hungry? I want to eat. Daisy's own tears fell. Mom! The funeral was hastily finished. After all, Maya now had to take care of her mentally unstable mother and handle all the funeral arrangements by herself. Juggling both, she naturally couldn't manage everything properly. After the funeral was completely over, Maya decided to send her mother to a mental institution. The day before admitting her, she took her mom to the hospital for one last physical. But the doctors insisted that everything was normal and there were no physiological problems. Although they said that, everyone could see with their own eyes that Maya's mom's behavior was far from normal. After sending her mom away, Maya insisted on visiting my company. You keep using the company is busy as an excuse not to see me, she whined. I want to see for myself what's really keeping you so busy. In the past, I would have hugged her tenderly and readily agreed. But now, I only found the situation deeply ironic. No, I can't, I said firmly. The company is about to declare bankruptcy. If you don't believe me, take a look for yourself. With that, I handed Maya my phone, which displayed a fake contract I had prepared earlier, detailing a massive company-ending lawsuit. She took it and read it for a long time, a slow sigh of relief escaping her lips when she saw the astronomical amount of compensation I supposedly had to pay. Just as she was about to hand my phone back, a message from Leo suddenly appeared at the top of the screen. I had planned this. The message read, Chloe, that idiot Maya is finally going down. The air grew thick with an awkward tension. I exchanged a glance with Maya. The raw hatred in her eyes was unconcealable. What does this mean? She demanded, her voice shaking. I looked at her with wide, curious eyes. I don't know what's going on either, I said, feigning confusion. Leo is being so random. Then, as planned, another message from him came through. Chloe, it's a good thing I convinced you to go to the zoo to test the camera that day. Just you wait. Maya is going to get what she deserves. As the messages appeared one after another, the atmosphere in the room became incredibly tense. Maya looked at me, her face a mask of hurt and betrayal. When I gave you the camera, did Leo tell you to go to the zoo? I blinked a few times as if trying to recall, then nodded heavily. Yes, I said, my voice full of dawning realization. He strongly recommended that I go to the zoo that day. He also said my first picture had to be of animals. I didn't understand why he said that at the time, but I did it anyway. As my words fell, Maya's tears could no longer be held back. She burst into loud, racking sobs. I quickly rushed to her side, pretending to be flustered. What's wrong? I asked, trying to comfort her. But the pure hatred in her eyes made my hand freeze in midair. After a long time, she finally gasped for breath. Leo is a jerk! Chloe, where's the camera I bought for you? I looked at her, feigning surprise. It's at home. Why? She took a deep, shuddering breath. Go home right now and smash the camera. Remember, you have to smash it to pieces. After saying that, she hailed a taxi. I'm going to find him now. I'll call you later. Watching her taxi speed away, I felt a wave of complete and total relaxation wash over me. Okay, I texted to Leo's number, a message meant for no one. You don't need to send anything else. Then I opened my desk drawer. Inside was the Polaroid camera Maya had given me. The messages from Leo that she had seen were, of course, all arranged by me. I knew Maya's personality all too well. She was both stupid and malicious. I was genuinely looking forward to seeing them finally turn on each other. Holding the cursed camera in my hand, I fell into deep thought. It turned out that as long as I smashed this camera, everything would return to normal. It was a terrible pity that I didn't know the camera's secret in my past life. But even if I had, I probably wouldn't have believed that it was all a scheme concocted by my best friend and my boyfriend. Now all I needed to do was wait. My parents called me from their trip, telling me their return flight was that night, arriving at 3 a.m. Okay, I said, my voice warm. I'll have Mr. Wong pick you up then. In the afternoon, I received a call from the police, asking me to come to the station to identify a body. At the station, I was the only one at the identification scene. Is this Leo? The officer asked. I nodded numbly. Leo's neck looked as if it had been torn open by some kind of fierce beast. Through the police officer's grim narration, I finally learned the true cause of his death. When Maya had found him, Leo didn't even have time to explain before she tackled him to the ground, frantically biting and tearing at him. During his struggle to defend himself, Leo had managed to grab an ashtray and hit her over the head with it, but instead of passing out, the blow only seemed to make Maya even more enraged. Leo had died from excessive blood loss. I nodded and requested to see Maya. She was sitting in a chair in an interrogation room, still gasping for breath, her clothes stained with blood. Chloe, save me! She cried the moment she saw me. I sneered and took out the pink Polaroid camera. Maya, did you really want to harm me with this? Actually, Leo never betrayed you. You're just so stupid. She suddenly looked up at me, her eyes wide and round with disbelief. What did you say? I said, I replied, my voice as cold as ice. Those who try to harm others will only end up harming themselves. You can just stay in here. With that, I turned and left. Late that night, I sat down for a hot pot dinner with my parents. After going through all these terrible things, I cherished my time with them more than ever before. I also finally understood how to truly care for them. A month later, the police informed me that Maya had committed suicide in her cell. I took a slow sip of my tea and turned my attention back to the papers in front of me, continuing the discussion about my latest business contract.